So I've been able to do one of these videos it's because I've been waiting on her.
Yeah, blame it on me. Classics is true.
I wanted to do it because I think really in my life, she's been able to do everything before me. She got married before me. She's a mom before me. I don't know, there's a lot of things that you did before me.
Just those two things.
I don't know. Well, I feel like she's done a lot more before me because she has so much knowledge and wisdom and things that I still don't have yet. How long have you been married now?
8 years. May 28th was 8 years. We've been together for 12 years.
Yeah, and you're basically 12.
Basically 12. I was actually, it's really funny because I was just reading this. I got this book that looks like skin, like someone burned someone's skin for clay in 2007 when I was
scary.
And I just found out I wrote so many letters in here that I'll never show to my children because you shouldn't talk to a boy like that.
That sounds wrong. What she's saying is she's saying that it was over emotional.
It was too much.
She's
I
not
needed to calm down my love feelings.
Yeah, she's just very expressive. But he ended up being your husband.
It worked out. He liked it. He's romantic.
Yeah, exactly. So
he kept it, obviously.
Yeah, somewhere in here. So anyways, I've been waiting to do this video because I wanted to do one with her because I'm not a mom yet. I have dogs, but that doesn't even count because you can put them in cages. And
that's true. You can do that with your children also.
It's a crib. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
You can't leave them though. Like
you can.
Okay. Well, for a healthy time. So for a healthy amount of time. So
sleep training.
Yeah, sleep training. But I wanted to do a video with her because she started this thing recently called Mom Win Moments. And if you're on Instagram, you can see it. It's just hashtag Mom Win Moments. And she started doing these videos with her kids that were like really raw, real moments because her daughters, I was going to try to get a picture that I could put up on here, but it was really difficult because YouTube changed the way they do their live videos. So I was trying to just flow with it today. But basically, her daughters are like models, and they have their own individual and unique looks, and they're really cute. But just because things look great on the outside and your family looks like they belong in a magazine doesn't mean that everything's always perfect or everything's always easy.
I think on social media, a lot of times people say, oh, why do people only show the best parts of their lives? But I think there's a positive side to that in that, you know, you want people to see that you're doing really great, but you don't want to make other people feel bad about it.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends that are young moms or just becoming moms. And I started to hear some of their stories about things that they made them feel like that they were terrible moms. And it was stuff that I'm like, oh my goodness, that stuff is nothing compared to, you know, certain things that I've done. And I think that as, you know, I've told some of my friends and people that a lot of times people talk about mom shaming and, you know, you're shamed if you don't breastfeed, you just have all these encounters with other people. And so I was talking to one of my friends who's a new mom and she was telling me, man, I just feel like a terrible mom because such and such and such. And I'm like, you know what? I was like, those are all learning and growing experiences that as moms, we have the opportunity to encourage each other and not to one up each other on our fails, but to see them as wins. Because, you know, I think that each time that you encounter something that maybe you could see as a mistake or as a fail, you have an opportunity to not only learn and grow from it and do better next time, but also to be able to share it with somebody else that it helps encourage them to go, okay, I am doing a good job, or it's not so bad. And
so you started doing the Mom Win videos on Instagram.
Because and a lot of people call them mom fails, but I don't think they're fails. So I think that they're funny and fun to share.
It's only a fail if you don't get back up.
That's right.
Yeah. So, okay, so I wanted her to talk just really quick about like what was your experience being a first-time mom? Because not only did you and Clay have some issues with getting pregnant, but just as you were starting that journey, because you were the first one in our family that had ever had a kid, and now your daughter's almost 4 years old, your first one. Josh has a baby now, and I still just have dogs, but whatever. So life's been a little different. I think all these people watching know. But like, so how was that experience? Like leading up to getting pregnant, you don't have to share the whole story, but then like what happened whenever you were just starting?
Well, it took us 2 years to get pregnant. We weren't sure if it was going to happen. and started seeing a fertility doctor. Anyway, there were things that happened within that, but I found out I was pregnant. And while I was pregnant, it was something I'd been wanting, but then whenever it actually happened, I was like, oh no, this is going to change my life. And especially as I started to get towards the end, I would be driving in the car, like, I'm never going to be in the car alone again.
I remember one time we were going to the mall, and you're like, we'll never be able to just go to the mall with us again. It's like you were mourning.
Yeah, it was like mourning, but Clay was like, yes, you will. Like, what's wrong with you? And in a sweet way.
It was an unknown.
Nice. Yes, it's just an unknown. And most people don't like change, and I'm one of those people I don't like change. And so it was kind of like having this revelation of like, okay, this thing's going to come out and my whole life is going to be different. And I didn't really have when I was pregnant, I didn't really have the attachment of like, a lot of moms, like I had a really good friend of mine that every time she was pregnant, it was like, oh, I just already love you and I know your name and I know you. And I'm like, is there something in there? Like, I didn't know, I just didn't feel what a lot of moms talked about that they felt. And I remember talking to my mom and saying, like, when it's born, like, what if I don't fit?
That's what you said. That's what you would call it all the time.
Will I feel anything? Like, will I feel like, okay, I'm a mom now, or will I feel? And and I have, whenever I was pregnant the first time, I have to do blood thinner shots, and I had gestational diabetes, so I had to prick my finger and stuff. So, and then because I had to do blood thinner shots, I had to be induced. And so when I went in to be induced, I was, really nervous. The first, few hours after me starting the induction process, I would have contractions every 2 minutes back to back. So it's a side effect of the medicine. So that was really fun. So there's like all these things that made me even more nervous about her being born. So I'm like, what if I go through all this? And then, and I know it's a child. And some of you on here are probably like, wow, this person's strange. But that's really how I felt.
She's just being real.
So then when she was born, it was like this total God moment. It was like everything that everybody says. I said whenever she was born, I'm going to be like, hey, can we like clean her off before you put her on me?
That was there.
I was like, give me that baby. Put her on me. I loved her. I was crying. It was like the best moment of my life. Like in one moment, it was like all of my fears, everything that I was like, oh, is this going to change and all this? It was like, I don't even care. I want her to be with me all the time. I want to go to the mall with her all the time. She's my new best friend.
I remember I asked you, I go, what does it feel like to have a baby? And you were like, when you're little and you have like your favorite toy and you want to play with it all the time and you never want to put it down, that's how I feel.
Like a new puppy.
Yeah, like
you want to hold it. Like you want to hold it. You're like, no, I still
it's mine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah. So, well, like leading up to having a baby, did you have a lot of people tell you like, this is what you should do and this is how you should do it? And if you had an idea.
Yeah, I think that's everybody. I mean, I have a really great doctor, so she's really awesome, but everybody around me is like, so are you going to be breastfeeding? And I'm like, I'm going to try. Oh, well, the baby really needs the breast milk because if you don't do that, then, and it's like, okay, like, thank you. Or make sure you go and see all the movies you can see because once you have a baby, your life is over. You'll never see a movie again. Or, sleep training. There's so many books about sleep training and should you sleep train? Should you not? Should you co-sleep? If you put them in the bed, they could die. But if they're in their room and they're sad and that makes you sad and you can't live without them. And then they're like 5 and they're still sleeping in your bed and they're 12 and they're still sleeping in your bed, but it's fine because they're only little for a certain amount of time. And so there's just lots of theories and lots of different, ways of doing things that you really do have to decide to be strong and figure out what's best for you. And that's a hard place to come to, especially when you're new.
So did people's opinions, did they confuse you? Did it frustrate you? Like whenever you actually had your baby, did people tell you like you shouldn't do it that way or make you feel a certain way?
Well, one of the things that I did was if there was or somebody in my, she had twins and had them sleeping through the night by 2 weeks. And I'm like, that sounds great. I want to know how you did that. Or like, obviously I have my parents, and then I had my other friend who had 4 kids and I liked the way that she disciplined them. So there were certain things that I really tried to take away the opinions of other people that I didn't really know or didn't really know me, because the people in my life that I kind of admired how they were already doing things, that helped encourage me in making the decisions that I made.
Well, I think that's like the way it is in life in general. Is I think a lot of people have opinions and a lot of people think you should do something a certain way. And that's where it's important to have mentors and to have leaders in your life to be able to go, okay, like obviously if someone has a lot of opinions, but you don't like the outcome of how their kids are raised or what they're doing. I mean, I'm not a mom, but it's like kind of obvious to me. You go, I wouldn't listen to their advice. Like I might think about it, but you still have to choose what's right for you. Like you love running. Okay. Like you might used to, yeah, you would like go out and run. You'd be like, oh, I ran 4 miles. I'm like, yeah, like I honestly
do that again. It's so hot.
It is hot right now. But like I have a tendency to more like box and our bodies are different. And so our bodies need different things, just like your children. That's what I imagine, at least, is that your children are different. They're going to need different things. So what worked in one family might not work for your family structure, how your life is structured in general.
And what you mind and don't mind. Like we have some really good friends that they love sleeping with their kids and their kids sleep in their bed every night. I didn't want to do that. I wanted my kids to have good sleeping schedules, to sleep in their rooms, I need sleep to be a healthy person. So, and I think everybody has a different opinion, and theirs isn't wrong or right, and mine isn't wrong or right. It's just depends on what you want your family culture to look like. And my mom once told me, she's like, we're the architects of our families. We decide, how we want it to look, how we want to raise our kids, what we want our family environment to look like. Because even with me and Clay both working, that's another thing. Everybody should be a stay-at-home mom, or why would you be a stay-at-home mom? There's just always just these different opinions. And
it's interesting how people make people feel bad for not doing what they're doing.
Yeah. And you really just have to learn to do what's best for you. Sometimes it's a hard place to come to, but my best friend, she just went off of our staff to be a stay-at-home mom. And at first it was like us talking to each other was like, okay, like I think what you're doing is great. It's like, I think what you're doing is great. It's like, okay. So it's like almost like we had to like clear the air of like, there's no
judgment
either way. It's like either way you're doing what's best for you and what's in your heart to do and what you want your family to look like. And either way, like you're going to have a great family. If you raise them loving God and you raise them, around people that love them and encourage them, and you do that as parents, then I believe you're going to have great kids.
Yeah. So whenever you had number 2, so the first one's Layla, second one's Livy. When you had number 2 start coming into the picture, what were you thinking, or what did you expect for it to be like?
I thought, even like with my pregnancy stuff, because I felt like I had a hard pregnancy the first time. Like I said, with doing the blood thinner shot, gestational diabetes, and I have really great labor though, so that's on my side. But I was like, oh, I totally know what's going to happen. Like before, I had a fear of needles, but then when I had to do all that, I was like, no, I got this. It's going to be great. And then with having a kid, like I thought, like I found out I was pregnant with Livy a couple days after Layla's first birthday party. So I was like, I got this. Like I want to have kids. I want to be close in age. And then when I was like, I don't know how pregnant I was, like 20 weeks pregnant or something. I was at my parents' house and my husband was actually out of town, and I was getting Layla up from a nap. But all of a sudden, I was talking to my mom, and she was asking me these questions. We were FaceTiming, and she was like, oh, just so you know that our friends are bringing their son and telling us that their son's name, which I should know. And I was like, I don't know who that is. Well, my mom does all this weird stuff where she'll be like, I was talking to Carol the other day. I'm like, we don't know who Carol is. So I just thought it was one of those moments. But then when I hung up with her, I was looking through my emails, and I didn't know who any of my emails were from. And so
I feel like that sometimes.
Well, exactly. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm fine.
Spam emails.
So then last time my body started to go numb, so I'm like, okay, something's wrong. So I called Clay, and I'm like, hey, I think I might be having a stroke. So that's the only thing I could think of because I've been doing blood thinner shots. And so then I couldn't see out of one of my eyes. He was like, who's the president? I didn't know who the president was.
Nobody does.
I'm sure. Oh my gosh. So anyway, so then he told my parents, like, somebody needs to go to y'all's house and get Whitney. And so I called my mom back, or she called me back. And then whenever I answered, by that time, I couldn't even talk. Like, it was like jumbled words. So my dad picks me up, basically gets Layla up to go to the hospital, go through all of this testing, all this stuff, trying to figure it out. And then finally, after several more seizures and a couple more things happening, seizures. I just told you what they were. They were seizures. So that happened a couple more times, and I found out I was having seizures. So not only then am I having to do blood thinners, but then I'm, you know, having seizures and getting on medication. And so already it was like, okay, what I thought I thought, oh, I got this. It was like, you know, and that's just, isn't that how life is? You know, so many times we're like, oh, we told us it's going to be great. And you're like, what's happening? And so then with Livy, you know, when she was born, I also had really easy labor. So that makes it, that helps. God has his little ways of going like, it's going to be okay. Just, you know, here's a little blessing for you. And so, and I didn't think about, even when I was pregnant, I didn't think about the fact that like the first time you're pregnant, you just get to like lay around and like you come home from work or whatever. And you're like, oh, I'm so tired. And you take a nap. When you're pregnant the second time, you can't do any of that because you got another kid you're chasing around and making sure they're fed and all that stuff. So there's this whole other level. I didn't think about that before I got pregnant, that I was going to have to take care of another one while being exhausted, being pregnant. So that was fun. Then when she was born, it was really great, but it was also confusing because when she came out, she looked really different than Layla, and I thought she was going to be a little clone. And so I was really confused, and I couldn't decide what to name her, even though I'd already had her name picked out. And like until the last possible second did I put her name on the birth certificate. And I'm glad I named her that because it's perfect for her. But at the time, it was very confusing. So, but now they're great. It definitely is different having two children. You know, when you have one, you're like, man, this is so much work. And then you have two, and you're like, why did I ever think that was hard? When you only have one at a time, you feel like you're on vacation. Or when they're taking a nap, like now, she came over to my house to do this while they're taking a nap.
That was why it took so long, because we had to like structure it in a certain way.
Yes. So anyway, so it's just, you know, you kind of learn as you go, but at the same time, I like to be realistic with myself about, like, I always believe and, you know, believe God's going to do great things and things are going to be awesome and he's going to give me the strength for today. Joy comes in the morning and all that stuff. But there's just sometimes where it's really hard. But I think that that's part of what makes being a mom be so sweet and so wonderful, is because you have these moments where it's like, man, if I didn't have these kids, or if I didn't have this life, that moment wouldn't have happened, or that experience wouldn't have happened. And so anyway, kids make life sweeter.
I was listening to this country song. I can't remember what it is right now, but it was talking about how, like, you know, country songs, they always like say like real life examples.
Mm-hmm.
And it was talking about how you're going to miss this, like you're going to miss this moment.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I was thinking about, because they were saying like these kids are screaming in a store or something. And this guy in the song, you know, it's like a story, but like he like leans over and says, or she apologizes to this guy and says like, I'm sorry, they're making so much noise, basically. And he goes, it's okay. I have two kids myself. One's like 20 and the other one's married or something. And he was like, believe it or not, you're going to miss this.
Yeah.
And like, I think about even moments, not my children, but I think about moments whenever like Layla was little, or looking back on my phone, like showing her, I showed Layla the other day, like, this was you when you were a baby. And she goes to her mom, she goes, Mom, look how cute I was as a baby. She's 3 years old, but she acts like she's like 15 or something. It's kind of crazy. But
it is sad though. I mean, I think about that a lot. My dad used to say he missed me already. Like, what are you talking about? I'm right here. I remember him saying that when I was little, and I totally feel that way about my kids already.
yeah.
But I'm not ready for another one.
Okay. So now that your girls are almost like 4 and 2, what are some lessons that you've learned that you think could help other people?
I think one of the biggest things for me is when I first became a mom, I wanted things to be really structured and like for my kids to listen to me. And like when you go on a story and you see those moms and they're like hitting their children in the carts and they're yelling like, we're going to leave. If you don't get control of yourself, we're going to leave and we're not. And I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want to be that way. Like, I don't want to be. But there's so many times once you become a mom where you have times like that. And one of the things that I remember my mom saying to me one time is, I was telling Layla she couldn't do something. And my mom looks at me and she goes, why not? And I'm like, Mom's so chill. And I'm like, just because she may be doing it right now. She's like, but why not? And so I was like, you're right. Like, that's really good. So I just kind of started to apply that in every area. I mean, there's plenty of things I don't let her do. But the other day I was at Target and I had all my groceries I needed to get for the week. And basically I felt like I'd run out of everything. And the longer you're at the store, you know, the crazier kids get. And so I look over, and by this time, I don't even know I'm making sure that they're around me. But as far as what they're picking up or what they're doing, I'm not really saying anything because why not? So I look over and Layla is laying on her back and she's got her feet up and she's scooting down the aisle on her back. And I was like, I could just tell her to get up, but she looks like she's having a good time. People are walking by kind of like, what is happening around me? But I needed to get my grocery shopping done. And so it helped, you know, when my mom's saying that, there's just a lot of areas, and I even say it to Clay sometimes, I'll be like, hey, you can't do that, or Libby, you can't do that. I'm like, oh, why not? You know? So I think that there are just certain things that, and you go, oh, they're dirty. Kids get dirty anyway, you know? So it's like, there's just certain things that I think you have, and I mean, I think that's a lot of motherhood and parenthood is just learning to relax a little bit and remembering that your kids are 3 and, 20 months or however old Libby is. And
months are hard to count.
They're hard. She's 1, but she's going to be 2 in September.
Whatever that is, the math.
Yeah. So, but I think that was a big deal for me, is just learning to relax, learning to go with the flow a little bit, and creating structure in my family, but also just going, why not? Like, that's okay. I'm not going to be embarrassed. Like, when I get on an airplane, my kids are going to cry. I'm going to do my best, but at the same time, there's just the reality of when you're a mom and when you're a parent. And one of my mom win moments I share is the story about me being on an airplane and opening a bottle and fixing it for Libby. She's a newborn, fixing it for her, put the top on, and there's no nipple on the bottle to be able to feed her milk. So I'm like, what am I going to do? This airplane ride is like 3 hours. I was trying to time this perfectly. The flight isn't very full, but I look over, there's this mom with like a 2-year-old son. And so I'm like, my only option is to ask this lady if she has anything. Go over to her. She has an old juice cup. It looks like it had had apple juice in it for about 3 years. And it's all yellowed and disgusting, but it's my only option. So I went in the bathroom, washed it off, and fed my newborn baby with the juice bottle. But you do what you have to do, and you just learn to go, it's okay. Like, not everything's going to be perfect all the time. And it makes life much more peaceful and happy.
I remember one time, it wasn't that long ago, we were in the car and her girls were yelling. Like they were like yelling back and forth at each other, like not in a mean way, like they were excited. So they were like yelling, like repeating each other. And we were having a conversation and I just like stopped. I just stopped in the middle of the conversation. She's like, why'd you stop talking? I was like, I can't concentrate. Like they're saying like Ante, because that's what they call me. They're going Ante, and they're just talking to each other, yelling, singing. And Whitney's like, oh, I didn't even hear them.
Just like, tune it out. That's another thing with my girls. Unless they have to, I don't tell them they need to be quiet. Like unless there's a time where it's like I'm having a conversation with somebody, or like when we're at home, it's like we scream just because it's fun. Or like when we're in the car, I don't know. I guess I just have a special way of tuning it out. They yell back, and like at the top. The top of their lungs back and forth, they scream back and forth, and it's really fun for them. And if that keeps them entertained while I drive, I'm okay with it.
It's so funny though, because like my intrusion level, normally like I don't have a problem being like interrupted, and I like literally, it was so loud I couldn't talk, and you're like, oh, I didn't even hear them when he's screaming. It shows like the level.
It's like when you sleep with white noise.
Yeah,
like it's just in
it's
there.
Like in there.
It's not.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so so you already kind of said what made you start doing the Mom Win videos. Mm-hmm. So something that she does is there's this hashtag called Mom Win Moments, like I said earlier, and she sometimes would like share them on her Instagram or talk to you guys about them or answer questions. And so
let me say this: like my friend that I talked to, she like one of her things she said she felt like a bad mom was because she brought her son to the nursery and she realized that she only packed like 1 diaper, and so he'd ran out of diapers, and she's like, I just looked so terrible and unprepared. And I'm like, what? Oh my goodness. Like, let me just tell you a couple of my stories. And so I was talking to her about it, but then the same day my dad called me and was saying how his other mom had felt encouraged by some of the things I posted. Like I posted my girls, where one of them was making like a serious face, ambulance behind them crying, and I said happy Sunday, because a lot of times what Sunday looks like. And so this other mom was just telling my parents that she was really encouraged, because like to see the reality of it, but like the joy in the reality. And so that's kind of what I want to show, is that yes, you look at people's lives and you go, oh, they make it look perfect and all their kids are smiling in a picture, and that picture is like 1 in 1,000. But at the same time, you're going to show that picture that you got in 1 in 1,000, did all this work. Photos. It's like, yes, that's the one you're going to show. But at the same time, like, it's good to show people that this is what what it took for us to get there. And there's joy in that. It's not all frustration, but you have to be the kind of person that decides to see it that way.
So what do you want to, like, personally, what do you want to accomplish through doing the mom win moments?
I think I think one of my biggest strengths that I try to be as a person is an encourager. And, always wherever I go, I'll try and think about how I'm encouraging somebody. And so I think I just want it to be encouragement for people. I think I want it to be something that makes people laugh. And like this lady sent me hers, direct messaged me hers, and just said how her daughter's 20 now, but she remembers this like stench from being in the other room. Like she could smell it in her room. So she walks in and her daughter had taken off her diaper, started playing with her poop, rubbing it all around the crib, all on the walls.
Delicious.
And now her daughter is a drama major in like New York or something. And it's just the stuff like that's funny because it makes you go like, okay, like they're gonna make their little personalities and little things that they do. Like it contributes to the destiny that God's put on their life. So I know that's like a nasty example, but it's funny. If you're a mom and you've had something that your kids poop, how many times have our kids poop in the bathtub?
You threw
and
poop
you had to
across
pick it up. Oh yeah, so many things. So it's like I remember the first time Layla pooped in the bath. Oh my goodness, I didn't know what to do. I was like, do I drain it?
They should
do I pick it up with my hands?
Like
the thing you do with the fish?
Yeah.
That'd be smart, but then we don't want them sitting in your poop. So the question is, do you drain or do you not drain?
Do you drain the poop down the thing?
No, you pick it up. I mean, most times
no.
But I'm saying, do you drain the water? Like, do you take them out and drain the water, or do you not drain the water? I've heard conflicting things.
I would drain.
Okay.
I don't know.
I've done both. Depends on how severe the poop situation is. If it's constipated and a little, that's too much information.
Oh, wow. Different categories. I think, like, just even watching her, I think not that, like, we have different personalities, even like my hair's kind of dark right now, but like normally we like look really different in our coloring and stuff. She's tan, I'm really white. But through seeing like different things that she's done, it's even given me like a sense of hope of going like, okay, like I know no matter like what my dynamics are, like I'm going to be okay. Because I think for someone like me, like I'm almost 30 and I don't have children, like I have pretty much like my life structured. Like I know how I like things. Like I would say like I'm more selfish. And I was talking to the Durham girls, Don, Sheree, and Destiny, and they were asking me like, when do you want to have children? And I was like, well, not now. And I was like, I'm waiting till I'm less selfish. Because I know how selfless you have to be, just even seeing you and Clay. And they were like, oh, that'll never happen. Like you just have to do it. Like it comes through the process. And I was like, oh, really? And it was kind of like disheartening, but like at the same time, it also helps me because I go, okay, like there's just gonna be things just like in our life that happen. And there's gonna be moments that other people agree with what you do, other people don't agree with what you do, but really the outcome is like you understand you are the architect of your life and that with God's help, like he's gonna lead you individually to know what you're supposed to do. So whether you're a dad, whether you're a mom, whatever it is that you're encountering, the unknowns are the things that are like the flavor in life. And it makes your story unique, your life unique. And it also gives you the ability to connect with other people that maybe wouldn't feel comfortable sharing their story or sharing like those moments that you're like, I can't believe I did that, or I can't believe that happened. And it's almost like you want to share it because it's so unbelievable, but then at the same time, you're like, I don't want to look like a bad mom.
And that's the thing that even I told my friends, like so many times we talk about mom shaming, but when it's breastfeeding her, it was more times than other people shaming us, we shame ourselves because we think we should be doing something a certain way or we compare ourselves to other people. And whether you're a mom or not a mom, so many times we do that. And it's like this trap that we put ourselves in that we're not willing to share or encourage or help somebody else because we're afraid of what they might think of us or what we think of ourselves that we should be doing, that our lives should look like. But there's just an easiness and a rest when you go, you know what, I'm not going to feel bad about the kind of mom I am or who I am. Not that I don't always want to be better, but at the same time, you've got what you got. You're working with what you're working with. All of our children have different personalities. You and your husband or whoever have a certain dynamic that nobody else has. And so there's great rewards with that. And there's also sometimes not rewards with that. Downsides.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of being a mom, but also being a successful person as an adult is feeling that pressure and that push and that tension in a good way, but also just learning to let go. And, and my dad always says, be content, but never be satisfied. And that's been a big lesson for me in all areas of my life, dealing with being a mom, is just going, I'm going to be content with where I'm at, where my family's at, but I'm also going to always push us to grow and be better. And I'm not going to shame myself, be mad at myself, or compare myself, but really just focus on, okay, am I being my best in these situations?
Yeah. So overall, like, a mom win isn't perfection. And it's not even sometimes getting the end result that you hope for.
A mom win is the opposite of perfection.
Yeah, a mom win is like, hey, this happened, but we're still moving forward, and there's still great things ahead. And I'm not perfect. My kids aren't perfect.
Right. Well, even for Father's Day, Clay wanted to take a picture with the girls, and they were not having it. They wanted me to hold them. They were crying. And he's like, I just wanted to smile. And I'm like, why? Like, this is the memory. This is what they did. Like, we tried to get this out, but it didn't work. So it's like, that's okay. Like, we'll remember this picture now, even more than another picture of them just smiling because of what they just did. So, like, see it as a sweet thing, or like a good thing, because we're not going to have this forever. So it's not about, like, what always to other people looks as victory or looks happy, but it's not what you see as happy. And
so it's celebrating, like, your moments and your family and your kids. And I think that's something our parents did really well with us. I think our mom was more hard on herself, and we look back and we're like, you're an amazing mom, But even like what you said, like, she would be more hard on herself, and I know that that's been able to help you even in your own process. And so, anyways, the hope is that whoever watches this now in the future, whenever, that that you're not alone, and that there's other people that are learning and growing along the way. And I think parenting, from what I've seen, and even like being a child of somebody, that's my perspective at this point. It's like, whenever I was younger, what was this like with my parents? But I think every season comes with new challenges, and understanding that just because this is how it was before, or this is how it was with this kid, doesn't mean that that's how it's going to look in the future. That's how it's going to look here. But knowing that God takes you into every season and gives you what you need for that season to make it happen, and like giving yourself grace and giving yourself the ability to know that God knew that that was going to be hard for you, or God knew that your child was going to face that, whether it's health issues, whether it's whatever, which we believe will never happen to any of you guys. But just knowing that whether it's your life, their life, whoever's life that's in your circle, that God has it in his hands, and that he's going to always work it out for your good. And so,
and I was going to say, even with having seizures and stuff, and figuring out that journey, because they didn't stop after I stopped being pregnant, and just learning in the midst of when you're going through something like that, which is a new thing you're having to navigate, and being a mom and working and all of that, there's all these things with it that, you really do need strength every day. You need new joy every morning. You have to decide that you're going to encourage yourself, that you're going to really rely on God. And I think that that's one of the things that is in the busyness of life. If you're not a mom, or if you are a mom, I feel like when you become a mom, it's like from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed, you're, nonstop. And one of the things I think we can forget to do is just to ask God for strength, to ask God for peace, to ask God for joy. And because not every moment is going to be joyful or is going to feel full of strength. But I think if you can have even if you have I've got a little chalkboard in my kitchen, or one of those new little cute letter boards, even just putting something on there that when you read it, it'll remind you to ask God for joy, or ask God for peace, or ask God for strength, or just to tell yourself you're doing a good job, So I think it's important, whether you're a mom or not, to just learn to encourage yourself and to ask God for help. So,
will you pray for them?
Yes.
Because you never know who's going to watch this. So.
Yeah. Lord, we just thank you for today. Thank you that you've given us the opportunity to be fruitful and to multiply and to fill the earth. And God, I just thank you for each and every person that watched us, whether they're a mom, they're not a mom, whether they're a dad or not a dad. God, I just ask that you would give them joy that comes in the morning, that you would give them strength, that you would give them peace that passes all understanding. God, when we go through different things in life and we face different circumstances, we thank you that you're always there with us, right there beside us. Help us not to compare ourselves or to expect ourselves to be perfect, God, because
you're perfect, and you ask us to aspire to greatness and aspire to who you are, but you don't expect us to be perfect. You just expect us to be our best, God. So I just thank you that that's something that can encourage us, that while we're in the midst of what feels like a mess or is in a place where we feel like we don't understand or don't know what's going on, God, that as long as we put our faith and our hope and our trust in you and we ask you for help, God, then we know that sometimes that's the best and that's all that we've got. And we're thankful that we have you. And so, Lord, we thank you that as we're raising children, for those that are raising children, as we raise them with your principles, God, and in your house, that you're going to do great things in and through them. God, we pray that you'll give us the strength that lasts for that day, God, and that it renews the next morning. And we're just thankful for who you are, Lord. Thank you for Keela and all that you're doing through her, and that we get the opportunity through technology to be an encouragement to other people. And I thank you even for future channels and whatever you call this that she does, shows, I don't know what it's called, God, that they're going to be led by you, and that they're going to be something that people need to hear, God, for that week or for that day or for that month. And I pray that through this video, God, and future videos, that they're anointed and that they're for people, God, and most importantly, they're for you. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Well, thanks for watching, and we hope that you have a great Monday.
Bye.